It happened in July, 100 years ago, in Dayton, the Scopes trial. John Scopes, a high school teacher, went on trial in the Rhea County Courthouse, accused of violating a Tennessee law that barred the teaching of evolution in public schools. This July, Dayton will mark the trial's Centennial with its annual Scopes Festival, featuring Destiny in Dayton, a play staged in the courthouse where the actual trial was held. Rick Dye is president of the Rhea Heritage Preservation Foundation. Rick, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here again. Always a pleasure.
Tell us about what's in store for Scopes 100.
We kick off on July 11th with the actual Scopes trial events. Our first performance will be July 11th at 7 p.m. But also going on that first weekend out on the courthouse lawn, activities will be oriented towards family and children. So we expect that Friday and Saturday to have a lot of kids out there playing, a lot of enjoyment activities. And then, of course, our performances of Destiny in Dayton the first weekend. And then the second weekend, Friday, July 18th. And then July 19th, this will be our second year. We're very excited because it was a great success last year. Our season finale will end with the Dinner with the Cast event.
Talk more about how Destiny in Dayton tells the story of the Scopes trial. It's different from what most people might imagine.
Most of the people that still come to the play say, I've seen the movie, only there's not a movie, because the difference between that movie, Inherit the Wind, and our play is derived directly from the trial transcript. So 90% of the dialogue that you will hear is from the trial transcript. And now we have created the storyteller as the famous Tennessee reporter, Nellie Kenyon, the only female to have a valid press pass for the trial. She does the storytelling and narration, and that is derived from her actual publications in the Chattanooga News. So you're seeing a very fact-based, as I say to people, you're sitting in the actual chairs, in the actual room, and you're going to hear the actual words of Brian and Darrow. So we think that's what sets it apart. It is a historical dramatization of the true events as they occurred in 1925.
The one difference I can think of is now there's air conditioning in that courthouse.
Yes. In fact, I will tell you, when Destiny started in 1988, the playwright, Frank Chafin, who wrote Destiny in Dayton, decided that we should be authentic. So the very first performance of Destiny in Dayton, they turned the air conditioning off. We learned very quickly that the air conditioning was critical to the mood of the audience.
And then let's go back and talk about some of the other things that are happening in between these performances for Destiny in Dayton. Talk about Buttram Cemetery.
This year, in cooperation with the Rhea County Historical Society, they will be offering guided tours. They will actually have a shuttle bus available that if people want to go in groups to drive them up to Buttram Cemetery, which is, I believe, the oldest cemetery in Dayton. Buried there are many of the instigators, if you will, of the trial, the McKenzie family, the Robinson family, and so forth. We're excited to have that as a featured event this year and hope people will take advantage of it.
And the tours of Buttram Cemetery, they're on Friday, July 11th and Saturday, July 12th. Looking ahead to the following week, Wednesday, July 16th and Thursday, July 17th, there is a symposium, Evolving Conflict Scopes at 100, featuring a number of scholars on all things Scopes trial.
Absolutely. We kick off with Dr. Nick Spencer with his Science, Religion, and How We Got Here, followed by attorney out of Chattanooga, Jerry Summers, talks about the trial itself and the people that were involved in the trial. The first afternoon will feature Dr. Ed Larson, who wrote probably the best book written about the trial, Summer for the Gods, and he won the 1997 Pulitzer Prize in History for that book. He's always an exciting speaker. And then on Thursday, Dr. Neil Doran will talk about the science at the Scopes trial and since, what we've learned and so forth. And then Dr. John Hawks will present his findings on human origin and what paleontology tells us. Then Dr. Joel Duff will speak on Christians and evolution after the trial. And then a very interesting discussion between Dr. Todd Wood and Mr. Paul Garner as they'll discuss the history of creationism and the future of creation-evolution debate. This is kind of special to look at kind of all aspects. Something that we hope our keeping the Scopes trial alive does is keep the discussion going. So we're excited. This is a special year. So we've added these symposiums. And we will have in between on that Wednesday night a symposium dinner. So if you're interested in getting to know some of the speakers on a more personal level, that symposium dinner is also available on Wednesday evening.
And then on Friday, July 18th, Saturday, July 19th, there are more tours of Buttram Cemetery. There's also antique autos on display.
We will have automobiles both weekends, but the second weekend is really special because we're going to have a rare selection of 1925 automobiles from the Coker Tire Museum from Mr. Coker's personal collection. I've seen a couple of the pictures. I'm pretty pumped about that. So for the real car nuts that have a passion, again, even the first weekend, we're supposed to be having a group that's called the Horseless Carriage Group. These automobiles, I think, all predate like 1912, 1913. We're also supposed to have a collection of vintage fire trucks. We have a lot of things going on both weekends. The second weekend will also feature writers from the Tennessee Authors Guild and some other various local authors that will have their books available for sale. The second Saturday, we're excited about that. It's sort of a literary twist we added about 3 years ago. It's growing a little bit each year. I think people will find that interesting, and hopefully we'll pick up a few of the books.
And on Saturday, July 19th, a commemorative tree dedication with members of Scopes Trial families planning to attend.
We have several descendants of the Bryan family in particular that will be in attendance, hopefully telling a few stories. We're hoping that we might have some of the Robinson family. They have some interesting stories to tell about the trial and their father and grandfather's involvement in it. F.E. Robinson. We hope that's kind of a special moment for people that are really interested and tied into it. You'll always get the one that says, I just learned when we were coming to this that my wife's great uncle was one of the jurors. There's always that interesting connection that you find that people do come that somehow have a distant tie to it. We actually have 2 cast members who are descendants of Walter White. One of the descendants is playing Walter White. We think that's a pretty interesting twist.
Talk more about how people in Dayton, whether they're involved with all these events or otherwise, are thinking about this event now or talking about this event now. It is, of course, the Centennial. The fault lines that emerged in that trial with all the national and international attention a century ago, they're still very much with us, perhaps in different ways.
Well, the people of Dayton have grown to embrace the trial, particularly over the last 10 or so years. It's been an interesting change because I'm sure I've shared with you over the years. When I started in 93, it was not warmly received. It was like, oh, y'all are doing that trial thing again. Because historically, you had the actual event in 25. Publicity was not favorable, but the community survived and they founded Bryan College and they went on. But the big backlash came in 1960 when Inherit the Wind debuted in Dayton. And all the citizens heard was Hollywood's going to make a movie about the trial. United Artists came calling. They embraced the idea, went and found John Scopes, brought him to town, had a parade, then went and saw the movie and were humiliated. The movie, more than the trial, scarred the memory of the community. And then as we kept telling the story as it actually occurred and we brought positive review, the community began to embrace it. Then a gentleman named Alan Garrison opened a restaurant 10 years ago called Monkeytown Brewery, and it changed the landscape. Suddenly we have Monkeytown inflatables. We have Monkeytown lawn care service. People are taking pride in the courthouse and the preservation. And we've just spent a great deal of time and money restoring the courtroom to just as it looked in 1925. We took out all the carpet, redid the hardwood floors. The community is embracing it in a very positive way, and you have more and more people coming forward with, as I said, well, I just learned that my great uncle was one of the jurors, or I am some distant relative of John Ralston, the judge. So yes, there has been a big shift in attitude and support for the actual event.
And for people who want to learn more about all of the Scopes Trial Centennial events taking place in Dayton in July, where can they go online?
We have a special website for this year, scopes100.com. It's pretty extensive, pretty detailed, where you can pick and choose what things you would be interested in, links to purchase tickets, to the required purchases, and so forth.
All right, Rick, thanks so much.
Thank you, Rick.